Discover the untold and obscure stories shrouded in secrets and strategies known to few that shaped the fate of ancient Greece. The influence of espionage, with spies from Athens and Sparta infiltrating enemy ranks, was merely the surface of an intelligence game that shaped the course of war in ways seldom recounted in history books. Secret alliances, political betrayals, and the manipulation of information were not just tactics but fundamentals that decided the fate of thousands. The rivalry between Athens and Sparta, immortalized in the Persian Wars, was marked not only by clashes on battlefields but also by the shadowy game of espionage. During this period, military intelligence was not just a tool but a crucial weapon in the struggle against the Persian advance. Athenian and Spartan spies infiltrated enemy ranks, gathering information that could either save entire cities or condemn them to destruction. This aspect of war, often overlooked in conventional narratives, played a pivotal role in shaping the tactics and strategies adopted by both sides. In Athens, the espionage network was extensively supported by the state, reflecting the sophistication and importance that Athenian democracy placed on strategic knowledge. The use of innovative methods and citizen participation in intelligence gathering stood out as pillars of the city's defense. They not only sent spies into hostile territories but also engaged in complex networks of informants, including merchants, diplomats, and even artists, all united by the common goal of preserving Athenian freedom in the face of Persian oppression. On the other hand, Sparta, renowned for its iron discipline and militarized society, adopted a more direct and brutal approach to espionage. Spartans were not limited to mere spying; they often conducted disinformation and sabotage operations, sowing disorder among Persian ranks. The effectiveness of Spartan spies lay in their ability to remain undetected and lethal, an extension of the Spartan warrior ethos that saw espionage less as a matter of skill and more as one of survival. The effectiveness of this espionage network was decisively proven in events like the Battle of Marathon and the operations preceding the Battle of Salamis. At Marathon, the Athenians, forewarned of Persian movements, organized a defense that became one of history's most famous victories. Similarly, before Salamis, spies helped manipulate Xerxes into adopting an unfavorable naval formation, leading to an overwhelming Greek victory. These episodes illustrate not only the physical and tactical prowess of Greek warriors but also the acumen of their strategic minds. Espionage, in its rawest and most calculated form, was one of the pillars that not only shaped the course of the Persian Wars but also defined the lasting legacy of cunning and strategy that characterizes Greek military history. Therefore, in revisiting these ancient conflicts, it is essential to recognize the vital role that military intelligence played in shaping the destinies of Athens, Sparta, and the Hellenic world itself. The alliances and betrayals among the Greek city-states before the Persian Wars reveal a game of secret diplomacy as complex as the armed conflicts that followed. As the Persians advanced westward, the Greek city-states faced a dilemma that tested their diplomatic skills to the extreme. Instead of a unified front, leaders like Athens and Sparta found themselves immersed in a web of intrigues, where agreements made under cover of night could be as decisive as any battle on an open field. In the fabric of these agreements, a central figure was Themistocles of Athens, whose political acumen led him to forge strategic alliances that would be crucial in resisting the Persians. He not only persuaded hesitant cities to join the common cause but also operated in a sphere where betrayal was not only possible, but also expected. Negotiations often involved promises that could not be publicly acknowledged, creating an atmosphere of mutual distrust among the Greek city-states themselves. On the other hand, the Delian League, led by Athens, exemplifies the tensions and conflicting interests that permeated the League of City-States. While the explicit purpose was defense against Persian invasion, political and economic subtexts shaped internal dynamics. Athens' leadership, often authoritarian, imposed financial and military contributions that exacerbated resentments and led to accusations of Athenian imperialism, even among supposedly loyal allies. Betrayals, in turn, were no less dramatic. Cities like Thebes and Argos, for example, flirted with the idea of an alliance with the Persians, hoping to safeguard their interests in a scenario of possible Greek defeat. This ambiguity of loyalties reveals the complexity of Greek politics at the time, where survival often took precedence over ideals of collective freedom and autonomy. This panorama of secret diplomacy and political intrigues thus establishes the climate of uncertainty and manipulation that permeated Greece on the eve of the Persian Wars. More than mere preludes to the known battles, these diplomatic maneuvers shaped history in an indelible way, illustrating that, in many cases, wars were won as much in secret meetings as on the battlefield. These remarkable conflicts between Greeks and Persians were stages for significant innovations, especially in naval warfare. The introduction of the Athenian trireme, a revolutionary warship, is a notable example of these advancements. This vessel, equipped with 3 rows of oars and capable of carrying up to 170 rowers, provided the Greeks with a decisive advantage over their adversaries. Its agility and speed allowed for complex and swift maneuvers, which were essential in the naval battles of the time. The development of the trireme was not only a technological advancement but also a reflection of tactical and strategic changes in maritime conflicts. Before its introduction, most naval battles relied on boarding and hand-to-hand combat. However, with the trireme, the Athenians refined the ram and retreat technique, using the ship's ram to rupture the hulls of enemy vessels. This tactic significantly reduced the risk of their own casualties while maximizing damage to the enemy. The origins of these innovations reflect the social and political environment in Athens in the pre-war period. Population growth and maritime expansion demanded new forms of military organization and resource utilization. The trireme was a response to these needs, funded by the public treasury and the result of an unprecedented mobilization of resources and labor. Shipbuilding became a vital part of the Athenian economy, involving much of the population in the construction, maintenance, and operation of these vessels. Furthermore, the impact of these innovations was felt far beyond military tactics and strategies. They altered the balance of power in the ancient world, enabling Athens to establish and lead the Delian League, an alliance of city-states that continued to fight against Persian expansion. This naval power allowed Athens to thrive culturally and economically, catalyzing the period later known as the Golden Age of Athens under the leadership of Pericles. The introduction of innovative naval techniques during the Persian Wars was not just a matter of military engineering, but a transformative element in Greek history. It reflects how the need for defense can catalyze significant technological advancements and how these advancements, in turn, reshape both social structure and the political landscape. Thus, the trireme was not just a ship. It was a symbol of the ingenuity and innovative spirit of a civilization that refused to be subdued. The Persian Wars not only shaped the politics and militarization of ancient Greece but also had a profound impact on the religious sphere. During this critical period, religion played a central role, directly influencing military strategies and the morale of the combatants. With the gods of Olympus weaving the fate of men, every decision and battle was seen as a reflection of divine will, making rituals and sacrifices essential elements before any major confrontation. Before the emblematic Battle of Marathon, for example, Athenian generals consulted oracles and performed sacrifices to ensure divine favor. This practice was common among the Greeks, as it was believed that success on the battlefield depended on the approval of the gods. The victory against the Persians, despite numerical disadvantage, was attributed to the intervention of deities like Athena, the patroness of the city-state of Athens, reinforcing the belief in divine protection and the power of rituals. During the Persian Wars, temples played a dual role, serving as both places of worship and strategic refuges and treasuries. The famous sanctuary of Delphi, home of the oracle, was a center of consultation for military and political leaders. Belief in premonitions and prophecies from the Oracle of Delphi often guided military strategies, leading campaigns to be planned around auspicious days and divine advice. Furthermore, victories in the Persian Wars elevated the status of certain gods within the Greek pantheon. Athena, already revered, became an even more powerful symbol of defense and protection. Festivals like the Panathenaea in Athens gained a new layer of meaning, celebrating not only the goddess but also the military victories believed to be granted by her hand. These events not only strengthened common faith but also united the Greek polis under a shared religious and cultural identity. The impact of the Persian Wars on Greek religiosity is a testimony to the intertwining of faith, culture, and military strategy in antiquity. This period not only defined the course of Greek history but also reinforced the fabric of devotion and belief that permeated all aspects of Hellenic life, from the decisions of leaders to the spirit of warriors on the battlefield. Religion was both a bastion of hope and a powerful tool of war, shaping the destiny of an entire civilization in times of conflict. Amidst the famous Persian Wars, while Sparta and Athens captured the spotlight with their epic battles and military leadership, a frequently overlooked aspect of history involves the crucial role of the small city-states. These polis, though diminutive in size and resources, played a vital role in resisting Persian invasions, employing cunning guerrilla tactics that differed significantly from the direct confrontations preferred by their more powerful neighbors. These small Greek city-states, often located in mountainous and inaccessible terrain, used the environment to their advantage to ambush and surprise much larger Persian forces. For instance, narrow passages and winding paths became deadly traps for invaders, where local warriors, familiar with every hideout and shortcut, could attack and then disappear without a trace. This approach not only compensated for their lack of numbers but also undermined the morale of the Persian troops, accustomed to large-scale confrontations and open terrain. Moreover, temporary alliances among these city-states allowed for effective coordination, turning their isolated actions into a cohesive resistance network. At times, these smaller cities also engaged in psychological warfare, spreading misinformation and leveraging festivals and religious rituals to mask their troop movements. This aspect of war, often overlooked in grand narratives of the Persian Wars, reveals a layer of strategy and resistance that was as decisive as direct confrontations. The resistance efforts of these polis also highlight an early form of unconventional warfare, which would later influence guerrilla tactics in other parts of the world and in other historical periods. The ability of these communities to adapt, innovate, and confront a superior enemy under adverse conditions is a testament to the spirit of independence and survival. that characterized ancient Greece. While the grandeur of Sparta and Athens cannot be underestimated, the courage and cunning of the small city-states in the Persian Wars offer a fascinating perspective on how even the smallest among adversaries can make a lasting impact through adaptation and intelligent resistance. These tactics not only significantly contributed to Greece's defense against Persian forces but also highlight a valuable historical lesson about the effectiveness of asymmetric resistance. These emblematic conflicts between Greeks and Persians in the 5th and 6th centuries BCE left profound marks on the trajectories of the civilizations involved, especially in Greek colonization policy. After the victory over the Persians, the Greek city-states found themselves in a unique position to expand their dominion, driven by the need to secure resources and long-term security. This impulse for colonization can be seen as a direct response to the economic and demographic pressures exacerbated by years of war. The quest for new territories was intrinsically linked to the desire to access trade routes and essential natural resources that had been depleted by the war effort. Regions rich in resources such as timber, ore, and agricultural lands became strategic targets for the polis, which saw colonization as a way to revitalize their economies. Additionally, territorial expansion was viewed as a preventive measure against future Persian threats, allowing city-states to establish advanced bases in strategic locations. This new phase of Greek expansion was marked by the foundation of colonies along the shores of the Black Sea, Asia Minor, and the Western Mediterranean. These colonies not only helped alleviate population pressure in the mother cities but also served as centers of Greek cultural and military influence, consolidating Hellenic presence in distant regions. The process of colonization also promoted greater cultural homogeneity with the establishment of Greek political, social, and religious practices in the new colonies. However, this expansion was not without challenges. Conflicts with local populations and with other emerging powers, such as Rome and Carthage, tested the resilience and adaptability of the new colonies. Furthermore, the nature of the polis itself, with its frequent internal rivalries, sometimes undermined the cooperation necessary for effective defense and coherent administration of the new territories. The Persian Wars not only shaped the political and military landscape of the ancient world, but also triggered a wave of territorial expansion and colonization that would be fundamental to the spread and perpetuation of Greek culture. The legacy of these wars thus extends far beyond the battlefields, profoundly influencing the political, social, and cultural structure of regions under Greek influence for centuries. They were a series of conflicts between the Persian Empire and the Greek city-states, decisively shaping not only in military terms but also in the political mold of Athens. This period of intense confrontations, mainly occurring between 499 BCE and 449 BCE, acted as a catalyst for profound changes in the Athenian political structure, culminating in the strengthening of democracy. The need for rapid and effective mobilization against such a formidable external threat required Athens to undergo internal reorganization, where the voices of the people began to carry a weight never seen before. In response to the growing Persian pressure, Athens found in democracy not only a form of government but a survival strategy. Leaders like Themistocles, who emerged during this period, argued that including a broader range of the population in political decisions was crucial for military effectiveness. This was reflected in the construction of a fleet of ships funded by new taxes, a decision approved by the ecclesia, the popular assembly. Such a move not only strengthened Athenian defense but also increased civic engagement, distributing more power among citizens who were previously marginalized in political decisions. The pinnacle of these changes was seen after the Athenian victory at the Battle of Salamis in 480 BCE, where the Athenian fleet, crucially reinforced by democratic participation, played a pivotal role. This victory not only repelled the Persian threat but also solidified faith in the democratic system, promoting even greater civic participation. The reforms of Cleisthenes, which had begun before the Persian Wars, were intensified, and Athenian democracy began to take on a more structured and comprehensive form, decisively influencing internal and external politics. The lessons learned during the Persian Wars taught the Athenians that unity and distributed power not only strengthened their military capabilities but also promoted a more equitable society. The direct involvement of citizens in strategic decisions increased internal cohesion and determination to defend their city against future threats. This period of conflict taught Athens the value of resilience and political innovation, aspects that would be fundamental to the lasting legacy of its form of government. They were not just conflicts over territory or military supremacy. They were a testing ground for Athenian democracy, which emerged stronger and more defined from these conflicts. Through these struggles, Athens not only defended its autonomy but also took great strides toward a system where power was more widely shared among its citizens, establishing a political legacy that would resonate through the centuries. At the heart of the Persian Wars, far from the vibrant battlefields and famous military strategies, lay a dark web of conspiracies and political assassinations that few know of today. One such lesser-documented incident is the assassination of Pausanias, the Spartan commander who, after leading the Greek forces to victory at the Battle of Plataea, found himself enmeshed in plots that would lead to his downfall and death under mysterious circumstances. His alleged conspiracy with the Persian king Xerxes to take control of Greece could have drastically altered the balance of power in the region. Another central figure in the intrigues was Themistocles, the architect of the Greek victory at the Battle of Salamis. After the war, Themistocles fell from grace, accused of corruption and treason. He was forced to flee Athens, seeking refuge finally at the court of the Persian king Artaxerxes, where he supposedly became involved in further conspiracies. The irony of his fate, from fervent defender of Greek freedom to advisor to their Persian enemies, encapsulates the complexity and hidden dangers of those turbulent times. In addition to individual plots, there were also collective conspiracies aimed at subverting the course of the conflict. Groups of oligarchs and Persian sympathizers in various Greek city-states, including Athens and Sparta, secretly worked to undermine the Greek war effort, often resulting in executions and internal purges that temporarily strengthened the Persian Empire. These acts of betrayal reveal a layer of internal instability that constantly threatened to undo the fragile Greek unity. The assassination of important generals and statesmen, often masked as accidents or natural deaths, also played a crucial role in unfolding events. For example, the sudden death of Cimon, son of the legendary Miltiades, is still subject to speculation. Some theories suggest he was poisoned to prevent a potential stronger alliance between Athens and other city-states against the growing Persian pressures. These stories, though often overshadowed by narratives of heroism and military strategy, provide a darker and more intricate view of the Persian Wars. They reveal a world where loyalty was a currency, and where the life of a leader could both decide a battle and be discarded in the shadowy game of power. Understanding these obscure aspects not only helps grasp the outcome of these conflicts but also the complex human dynamics that continue to influence wars to this day. The Greco-Persian Wars were fought between the Greek city-states and the vast Persian Empire, often portrayed as a series of epic battles of freedom against tyranny. However, beneath the surface of these heroic conflicts, intrigues and betrayals among the Greek elites were rampant. In Sparta and Athens, the two dominant powers in Greece, internal disputes and personal rivalries significantly shaped the course of the war. In Sparta, known for its strict discipline and rigorous military structure, internal rifts were less visible but equally impactful. The Spartans constantly grappled with the tension between the desire to maintain their traditional isolationism and the need to intervene to preserve Greek hegemony against the Persian threat. This duality was especially evident in Sparta's hesitation to send troops to assist Athens during the crucial Battle of Marathon. This decision, influenced by internal political disputes, nearly cost the Greeks a crucial victory. Meanwhile, in Athens, the political landscape was even more complex, with leaders like Themistocles and Aristides often at odds over the best way to confront the Persian threat. Themistocles, a visionary strategist, faced significant internal opposition in his efforts to strengthen the Athenian fleet, a move that would prove crucial in the Battle of Salamis. The rivalry between these leaders was not just a matter of military strategy but also a reflection of power, struggles within the city itself, influencing decisions that would have repercussions throughout Greece. These betrayals and rivalries were not isolated incidents. They were symptomatic of a highly competitive and often brutal political culture. In many cases, leaders were motivated by personal gain or to neutralize political opponents, sometimes at the expense of the common goal of repelling the Persians. These internal divisions allowed the Persians to exploit Greek weaknesses on various occasions, turning what could have been unified resistance into a series of fragmented efforts. Therefore, while the Greco-Persian Wars are remembered for their heroic standoffs and Greek resistance against a formidable enemy, stories of betrayal and internal dispute among the elites of Sparta and Athens reveal an additional dimension to these conflicts. Understanding these internal dynamics is essential to fully appreciate the complexity and consequences of these historical wars, where not all enemies were on the other side of the battlefield. The battles of the Greco-Persian Wars, traditionally narrated through the writings of Herodotus, are often portrayed as epic clashes between Greek freedom and Persian tyranny. However, a deeper analysis of these conflicts reveals layers of complexity that ancient accounts often overlook. This critical reinterpretation seeks to uncover these nuances, questioning the simplistic and often exaggerated dichotomy between the two empires. When revisiting the events of the Greco-Persian Wars, it is crucial to consider the political and economic motivations driving both sides. For example, Persian expansion was not merely an act of despotism but a strategy for economic strengthening and border security. On the Greek side, the defense of freedom was also accompanied by internal interests, including rivalries among the city-states themselves, which manipulated the Persian threat to bolster their political positions. Archaeological records and new historiographical analyses suggest that the interaction between Greeks and Persians was more interdependent than traditional accounts admit. For instance, extensive commercial and cultural ties had already been established between the civilizations before the onset of the Greco-Persian Wars. Such connections indicate that the relationship between these cultures was less about constant confrontation, and more about a complex network of influences and exchanges. Reassessing primary sources, such as Persian cuneiform inscriptions and recent archaeological discoveries, offers a fresh perspective on the military and administrative strategies of Darius and Xerxes. These sources reveal meticulous planning and effective management, contradicting the image of rulers merely as despotic and irrational figures that later Greek narratives sought to portray. Lastly, the figure of Herodotus himself, while invaluable as a historical source, must be approached with caution. His narrative style, replete with dramatization and mythical elements, may have distorted the reality of events to entertain and educate his audience, rather than solely to document history. Thus, in exploring the untold history of the Greco-Persian Wars, we face the challenge of separating historical reality from literary fiction, seeking a more balanced and multifaceted understanding of these monumental events. While many centuries have passed since the Greco-Persian Wars, the echoes of these ancient conflicts continue to resonate in contemporary practices of politics and military strategy. This epic confrontation between Greeks and Persians not only shaped the course of Western history but also established fundamental precepts that still influence leaders and strategists around the world today. The Greeks' ability to form strategic alliances, for example, is a lesson of invaluable worth on the importance of diplomacy and unity in the face of common adversaries. In addition to alliances, the defense strategy employed by the Greeks, especially in iconic battles like that of Salamis, highlights the effectiveness of knowing and utilizing the terrain to their advantage. The decision to lure the Persian fleet into a narrow strait, where their numerical advantage became futile, is a testament to the power of geographical knowledge and meticulous planning. Such strategies are evident in many modern conflicts, where control of strategic points and intelligent use of the environment continue to decide the outcome of wars. The Greco-Persian Wars also teach us about resilience and the spirit of resistance. The steadfast determination of city-states like Athens and Sparta, even in the face of an apparently invincible enemy, continues to inspire defense policies and attitudes in the face of adversity today. This spirit of never surrendering transformed small armies into legends and small nations into emerging powers on the world stage. However, perhaps the most significant lesson from the Greco-Persian Wars is the impact of visionary leaders. Figures like Themistocles, who persuaded Athens to build a fleet that would eventually be decisive in the war, show how long-term vision and the ability to persuade and mobilize people around a common goal are essential for the survival and success of a nation. Effective leadership remains one of the cornerstones of current military and political strategies. Reflecting on the legacy of the Greco-Persian Wars, it is evident that these ancient conflicts offer more than just stories of courage and confrontation. They provide a manual of enduring principles that still guide the conduct of nations and leaders. The study of these events is not just an exploration of the past, but a vital guide to understanding the dynamics of power and conflict in the modern world. The forgotten lessons of these ancient wars, therefore, remain of paramount importance, shaping strategies and policies centuries after they were fought.